The voters turned out in record numbers and delivered an historic victory.
Aides say the president sees his victory as a clear mandate.
Everything we know about this election tells us the exit polls were right. George Bush lost this election.
The scope of the theft is almost unfathomable.
Well, in some of the precincts, there was an 80% undervote. That means 8 out of 10 people who came to the poll did not care enough about the presidential race to vote. I don't think so.
The targeting of people of color is very computerized.
We had testimony that some people stayed 12 hours in the line.
And it was so blatantly obvious that the inner city machines were missing.
Computers are the new 21st century threat to the voting process.
With these machines, you can alter the outcome of a national election undetectably.
There's this new breed of activists who no longer trust the way our election system goes.
Mr. Curtis, are there programs that can be used to secretly fix elections?
Yes. I wrote a prototype for President Congressman Tom Feeney that did just that.
In the 2000 election, there were 180,000 uncounted votes in Florida.
He had a very simple concept that you should be able to verify your vote, just like you can verify the money you get out of an ATM machine.
I put in that tape and start listening. It was smoking gun proof that Diebold was using illegal, uncertified software in their voting machines, that they knew it was illegal.
It could change the outcome of every election. Whoever was in power could stay in power.
What he found was an extraordinary threat to national security.
The notion of stolen elections is something we assign to third world countries, but not to this beacon of freedom and democracy that we like to view ourselves as.
Look at the pattern of the past few elections. We have every reason to believe that the 2008 election is going to be manipulated.
Mr. Curtis, would you please state your full name for the record?
My name is Clinton Eugene Curtis.
And where do you reside?
Tallahassee, Florida.
And what is your profession?
I'm a computer programmer.
Mr. Curtis, are there programs that can be used to secretly fix elections?
Yes.
How do you know that to be the case?
Because in October of 2000, I wrote a prototype for President Congressman Tom Feeney at the company I work for in Oviedo, Florida, that did just that.
And when you say did just that, it would rig an election?
It would flip the vote 51-49 to whoever you wanted it to go to and whichever race you wanted to win.
And would that program that you designed be something that elections officials that might be on county boards of elections could detect?
They'd never see it.
Mr. Would you answer that question once again?
They would never see it.
Tom Feeney is best known for being the guy in the 2000 election. No matter what the Supreme Court decided, he was going to assure that the electoral votes went to George W. Bush. He had previously, in 1994, been the running mate to Jeb Bush in Jeb's initial bid for governor in Florida, which he lost. Tom Feeney was the general counsel and registered lobbyist for Yang Enterprises, even while he was Speaker of the Florida House.
You know, he had a lot of political theory about, you don't have to actually beat the Democrats in the Democratic area, you just have to reduce the margin enough so overall it weakens it and you win that way. And I mean, he was willing to do anything to win. And I'm thinking, well, these people are crooked, but they're probably crazy. No one's going to sit by and let them do this anyway. They tried to bribe me to come back to them. Eventually it got up to, $1 million. They'd give me $1 million to come back. Then it was $1 million to just leave Tallahassee. And Feeney will get me a job anywhere I want to work. Anywhere. Name the price, name the location, you're there. Well, Feeney's the reason I left, because he's a crook. Why am I going to accept a job from him? That just doesn't make any sense. It is super easy. It takes nothing. It's just some hidden buttons on a screen. You hit the little hidden buttons. It gives 51% to the guy you want to win, gives the other 49. So it doesn't matter how you vote, the machine votes for you. Now that you've got your vote and you want to flip it, you hit the R, hit the S, and it flips. 51-49, Bush wins. I mean, when I did my little write-up for Feeney, of course I had the Democrat cheating, so Democrat, submit, flips the votes.
Gotcha.
That's simple. 24 lines of code, you never see it.
What really scarred the party was the election of 2000, in which the president lost the popular vote but won the presidency through litigation. I believe there was an attempt to not ever let this happen again and win by any means, legal or otherwise. It's reprehensible, it's unethical, it's unlawful, it very well may be criminal.
Iglesias describes himself as a loyal Republican, but he believes the plan to challenge voters was directed by the White House. He also believes that's why key White House officials like Karl Rove have refused to testify before Congress or turn over important documents.
I believe there to be incriminating, possibly criminally incriminating evidence contained in those emails and other memoranda. That's why the White House doesn't want to produce it to the Congress.
Iglesias says for further proof of White House involvement, just look at who was hired to replace one of the fired U.S. attorneys. It was none other than the aide to Karl Rove who helped direct the voter caging program nationwide.
It's a record vote. Clerk, please read the bill.
This is State Representative Debbie Riddle. She authored the bill that would require voters to show a photo ID.
Clerk, bring the bill. It's a record vote.
It's all about integrity.
Record vote.
But the integrity of one person, one vote doesn't apply at the legislature. We found many lawmakers vote more than once. Take a look. Riddle votes, turns around, votes again for State Rep Kemple. Rewind. And watch the men on the screen. Elkins goes to vote for Merritt, but Hancock is faster. Elkins heads back to his desk, but before he can vote, Joe Crabb turns around and beats him to it. There is so much going on during the vote on the HPV vaccine mandate, you really have to pay attention. Start with State Rep Hamilton at his desk, who leans over to vote a second time for his desk mate Dan Branch, then reaches back to vote for Charlie Howard and casts a fourth vote for Wayne Smith. He's not the only one scrambling to vote. Rewind the video and take a look at the top of the screen. State Reps West and Phillips both lean over to vote for themselves and their desk mates. Phillips votes a third time for Christian. On the left, Donna Howard votes for State Rep Bowe. State Representative Dunham didn't have to leave his chair to cast 4 votes, one for himself, then for Coleman, Martinez Fisher, and then Vesey. Sometimes the voting is across party lines. Hartnett, a Republican, reaches back to vote for Democrat Oliveira. Democrat Matt Reynolds votes for Republican England, and Republican John Davis votes for Democrat Noriega. Yes, most voters have no way of knowing if their lawmakers are actually casting their own vote. Even though the legislature is broadcast on cable TV, the cameras change from this to this.
This, for example, is a copy of my stepdaughter's voter registration from Orlando, and it is clear that her own handwriting filled in blocks 2 through 15. Apparently, a petition form was placed over the top of a voter registration form. It purported to tell the citizen they were signing a petition to legalize medical marijuana. The citizen filled it in thinking that's what they were doing, and then after the voter had left, the individual fraudulently filled out lines 1, the party change, making them a Republican now, and then fraudulently signed it and then turned the application over to the election administrator. This form changed the voter's registration from Tallahassee to Orlando. And if this voter had not known me and turned this information over to me, she may have been disenfranchised when she attempted to vote.
Is it a crime to misregister someone in that way?
It is a third-degree felony to do this. It is an illegal act.
And the Republicans now admit it was their operatives who collected these thousands of suspect registrations, though the party denies it committed fraud. Civil rights experts in Washington fear the threat to a free and fair election is severe and unprecedented.